the big thing is that you have to be able to have this overall scope of like, where am I going to go next? And the biggest part of that is you can take a lot of different people, even people online now. There's a million guys that come out of the Special Forces, Rangers, MARSOC Marines, Navy SEALs, PJs from the Air Force, well, Air Force, but yeah, those guys. But when those guys came back, they went through the same things. Just because they were beasts in the military doesn't mean they faced any less of a problem.
Right.
So they found a different purpose and a different sense of purpose by then going, okay, well, I can continue the fitness. What about my diet? Mm-hmm. Okay, what about my daily routine? What's healthy for me? Like, how am I going to go about making a career for myself? Well, there's so many options now for us. There really is. You just have to be willing to take those tasks on. It can be difficult. I'm not going to say that's an easy start, because even me, like, Brian's seen me go through it. I've had my moments, but I'm also a PTSD diagnosed man. I know my boy here has it. Like, it's one of those things that you have to really be serious with yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop hating the person in the mirror.
Right.
That's a huge thing. And if you can get past those first little hurdles, then you can start to build a stable ground to stand on.
Right.
And if you have that, okay, well, now I have a place to stand. Now I have a place that I can start eating better. Get your disability, get yourself in the VA, get the treatments you need, and start to attack it like a tower,
Right. And we've seen a lot of this, like I said at the beginning of this video. And if you guys are just tuning in, please let us know if you're hearing the audio quality come through well enough, because I'm not 100% sure on this setup. But at the beginning of the video, we were talking about how guys get out of the military and they have no purpose anymore. And so, we were both non-commissioned officers. We're used to having orders passed down, and this is the mission, this is what you're going to carry out. When now you're in the civilian world, you don't have anybody giving you that mission. You have to write your own mission. You have to have your own goals to accomplish, and you need an action plan to take you to that goal. And like Chris said, one of the most important things that you can do as a combat vet is to get your testosterone tested, because there's so much psychologically that happens when you experience combat. It's literally the same thing as doing a high dose of heroin on a daily basis for however long you're in combat, right? Like, it literally fries your neurons, and that affects your entire endocrine system, including your testosterone production and everything else. So getting that fundamental hormone testosterone balanced through TRT is going to be critical for the vast majority of combat vets as a baseline before you start doing anything else, because that dictates so much of how you feel and how you perceive life and how you're able to perform throughout the day. If that's not squared away, nothing else is going to be at its highest maximum level, right? So getting the testosterone squared away, and then working out on a regular basis, getting your diet corrected, and then setting out a plan for your life. But having that fundamental fitness and health in place first is going to really give you the catalyst to build something down the road. And, when I first got out, I was probably, I think, 24, went into the VA, and they're like, by the time you're 30, you're going to have a double knee replacement. And so I haven't had one, haven't had knee surgery. I'm functional. I have some limitations, but having the fitness routine and the supplements we've used over the years has really, helped us to heal and to maintain functionality, at least compared to most of the guys in our category.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, like, and there's a million options out there now, like, don't take one diagnosis and run yourself into the ground with that, because, there's 50 different doctors just within one area, at any time in your after military, your post-military career, and of course I ran into doctors that told me, like, I'll never be the same. I'm never going to look the way I did. I'll never be able to do those things. And you know what? I couldn't agree with that. For me, it felt like they were giving up on me prior to me giving up on myself.
Right.
So what I ended up doing was I reached out to multiple doctors until I found one that said, you know what, we can help.
Right.
And that's really is part of the fight now. And the horrible part of the fight now is that there are thousands of doctors, thousands, like every year, there's a graduation of at least 10 to 15,000 doctors, and it's quite a high number, but you can't lock yourself into just one position and say, this is the end for me. It doesn't work that way. You have to be willing to take the risks to get the rewards. And so for me, they told me that I would never be 100% again, that I would never be able to think clearly again, that I was going to have a lot of issues, not only stumbling over my words, but that I was not going to be a person that was well put together.
Right.
And if you're watching now, obviously, like, I can jabber. So the thing is that you have to be willing to take the steps and do some reading, look into things, because not every one physician is right. Not every one doctor is right. When I finally found people that were willing to help, my world changed entirely. They gave me a lot of options. They said, there are peptides now, there are different types of TRT treatments, and you have to be willing to go down that road. And that is the hardest part now. Like, even within the VA system, they can fight you on that. Well, screw the VA. There's private care for a reason.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing with the VA is they're so fast to just prescribe you medications out the rear end. I think when I first went in, they tried to prescribe me 16 different medications, and it's like, either you can become a product of the system where you depend on these medications for basic functionality that then lead to side effects down the road, which lead to more medications, or you can find a doctor outside the system that actually knows what they're talking about. And it's rare to find a doctor who knows about nutrition because they don't teach it in medical school.